I'm happy to introduce Randy Weekly today as our speaker. He is the Vice President of Software Development here at ImageSource, and his responsibilities include the development and delivery of the ILINX product suite.
Thanks, Kim. And thanks, everyone, for taking time out this morning to join us. Today we're going to go through 5 unique aspects of ILINX Content Store. We're going to talk about, first, how easy the system is to set up, install, configure, and even scale out. We'll talk about some key capabilities of ILINX Content Store that deliver rock-solid security. Then we're going to talk about a very unique feature of ILINX Content Store called the Notebook. Fourth, we'll talk about getting content into the system, not just scanning and storing, but also searching, retrieving, and some of the robust document management capabilities of ILINX Content Store. And then we'll wrap up on number 5 with talking about some of the costly realities of dealing with content today and how ILINX Content Store can deliver significant return on your investments in those areas. I'll do a quick demonstration, and then we'll come back and wrap up with a Q&A. So let's talk about ILINX Content Store deployment, the experience, and what kind of options that you have. ILINX Content Store provides extremely fast deployment. It's built with the very latest Microsoft.NET technologies, and this helps to simplify the installation and configuration of the product, as well as minimizing the deployment footprint of the system. Now, to get a system up and running, all you really need is a modern Windows server running Internet Information Server, IIS, and a SQL Server database. And in literally just a few minutes, you can have an ILINX base install up and running. Now, honestly, to do a full production deployment with all of the appropriate configurations, security, application definitions, etc., is going to require a full project, including detailed planning, construction, thorough testing, and all of the associated rollout activities. But we just feel very strongly that the base install of the software should not be a complicated portion of the project. From day one, ILINX Content Store has been architected as a true cloud application, but it runs just as well in your own data center. Now, this flexible architecture provides a number of deployment options. So you can deploy ILINX Content Store on-premise completely within your own data center and behind your firewall. You can also leverage a cloud hosting provider such as Microsoft Azure, Amazon, Rackspace, etc. Or you can use a combination. And we have customers running today their ILINX Content Store application in their data center, but backed by a SQL Server database that's running on the Microsoft Azure cloud. These deployment options allow you to fine-tune your operational costs and your comfort level for cloud software. So if you're not ready for the cloud today, that's not a problem. Just don't lock yourself into an on-premise only solution. And because of ILINX Content Store's unique architecture and the way it stores information, which we'll talk about in just a minute, it's not hard to change your deployment model. So if you want to start with an on-premise deployment, but keep your options open for moving to a cloud deployment later, that's not a difficult change to make with ILINX Content Store. The iPhone is a very, very flexible platform. It's very easy to add new capabilities, new applications, and if you don't need an application, you simply remove it. With ILINX Content Store, you can tailor access to individual document types for your individual groups, capabilities associated with those documents, including the ability to print, email, delete, update, or whether or not they can even create new content. You can even control the scope of content visibility within the different document types for each individual group within your organization. Now, unlike an iPhone, your enterprise content system touches many, if not all, of the groups within your organization. And with ILINX, you can tailor your content management capabilities to meet the specific needs of each of your different lines of business. Now, let's talk about the storage and how ILINX handles that. With ILINX Content Store, all of your content, your documents, your metadata, and your configurations of the system by default are stored in a single SQL Server database. Now, this delivers some cost savings by providing a simple, reliable backup and recovery capability from within a familiar SQL Server management interface. It also allows you to leverage some of the advanced storage capabilities of SQL Server, including data encryption, compression, as well as mirroring and replication for the database across geographies to provide disaster recovery, and you can cluster it for scalability and high availability. All right, let's drill into the security a little bit for ILINX Content Store. The Content Store was designed from day one with a security focus. And it has options for content encryption so that even your DBAs can't access content that they're not supposed to access. All of the transmissions within the system can be encrypted using secure socket layers, or SSL. And you can configure ILINX Content Store to leverage your existing Microsoft Active Directory deployment today for easy provisioning of content and capabilities throughout your enterprise. Now, security requirements often vary from industry to industry and even between different lines of business within your organization. And so a flexible security system is essential. ILINX Content Store has built-in accounts that can easily be created or removed and exist completely outside of your corporate directory. This is an easy solution for auditors or maybe contractors that need temporary access to select content within your system. ILINX Content Store has 35 different security settings that you can apply to your content to control the access and operations across your system, to fine-tune your ILINX Content Store system to maximize security and user productivity. And so that's actually a really good point I want to highlight. These security mechanisms are, of course, essential for controlling access to content, but it's not only that. It also helps to enhance your user productivity. And by filtering down the content and access to content, it helps deliver just the right information to just the right knowledge worker. All right, let's talk about a very unique feature of ILINX Content Store we call the notebook. Now, similar to Apple's iCloud and connected applications, ILINX Notebook allows users to take content with them off of the system. They can modify, markup, share, and even create new content. And then they can synchronize all the changes that they've made back to the corporate ILINX content server system. And whether that content store is deployed on-premise or in the cloud, it doesn't matter. Notebooks offer a secure content on the go, whether you're sharing this information or whether you're using it to work offline. Notebooks are populated with just the content that you've identified or that you want to share, and a notebook has all of the features of the full Content Store product built right in. This includes things like advanced searching, viewing of documents, markup and annotation of documents, the ability to capture new content from scanners, snapping a picture, or dragging information off of your desktop. You can print documents and even email documents. It's like having a mini ILINX Content Store installed right on your laptop or tablet. Now, many of you probably use Box or Dropbox. I'm a big fan of both. These are great products. But honestly, they make companies a little nervous having corporate information potentially sitting unprotected on employees' hard drives on multiple devices. ILINX notebooks are far more secure. These little self-contained content systems are completely encrypted and password protected. And if you're using a notebook to share information, you can even use a feature we call time bombing, which limits access to that notebook. So you can set it 7 days, 60 days, or a specific date in the future, after which that content is no longer accessible. So I mentioned with the notebook how you can create and modify content. Once you get connected back to your network, you can synchronize all of the changes and additions that you've made back to your central ILINX Content Store system with a push of a button. Now, ILINX Content Store will handle collisions if, for instance, I have modified the same document that one of my coworkers has modified. ILINX Content Store handles that collision by versioning the document content so that nothing is lost. And you can also just refresh the content of a notebook to take on the road with you the next time. All right, let's talk about some of the very powerful content management features within ILINX Content Store to get content into the repository, searching, finding, interacting with the content, and leveraging version control features to manage document revisions. ILINX Content Store has built-in capture. It's a very powerful capture capability that allows you to onboard new digital documents from a scanner, from an attached camera, or dragging and dropping information from your desktop. ILINX Content Store's capture functionality also has some streamlined document indexing capabilities that include things like dynamic field lookups from a back-end database, that include type-ahead searching, the use of masking and validation within the index panel allows you to ensure that that incoming data is correct and formatted correctly. You can manipulate images, cut, copy, paste, rotate pages from within the capture interface. And you can do markups on the inbound images. So you can apply secure redactions if you need to obfuscate sensitive information from certain groups within the organization, or create annotations or collaboration content. Now, once you've got content into ILINX Content Store, it's of course important to be able to find it easily and efficiently. You can use some advanced searching capabilities within the product to leverage any combination of system or user-defined metadata to identify the content you're looking for. And you can create very sophisticated searches using different operators on each one of the fields and or conjunctions. And once you've got those results, you can sort and manipulate them within the result set. If you want to do just a quick hit search, we have a global search functionality that can do global full text searching across the user's view of the entire system. Or you can just browse content types just by double-clicking on the application folder. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the scope of what I see within ILINX Content Store is controlled by my system administrator. And I may execute a global search, but I'm only going to see the content that I have been granted access to. In terms of version control, ILINX Content Store supports check-in and check-out with both major and minor revisions. From a document, you can access all of the document's history, including all of the check-ins, check-outs, if they've abandoned a checkout. You can secure access to previous versions of a document. So, for instance, I've got a group of users that consume content, but I don't want them to have access to my previous versions of the document. I can do that within ILINX Content Store. I've got a quick list of checked out to me. I'll show you in the demo section. As well, the ILINX Content Store supports a feature that we call compound documents, which is the ability to combine different types of pages within a document. And a page may be an entire Microsoft Word document or PDF or even a movie. So we've talked a lot about features and functions of the product. So let's talk about how they deliver value to your organization. Now, a recent IDC study measured the average amount of time that knowledge workers spend dealing with electronic documents and all of the challenges that are associated with that. And the results were actually shocking. On average, knowledge workers spend about 17 hours a week dealing with documents, and these are activities like groping around a file system looking for a document, or recreating a lost document once you can't find it, or trying to figure out who has the latest version of a document. And these document management challenges consume very large amounts of time for just about any organization. The survey goes on to calculate what this really means in value to companies on average, and the waste for the companies, not only from a financial perspective, but also the frustration for the knowledge workers and the slower, less effective customer service that results from inability to find the appropriate content. So IDC says that this wasted time costs organizations, on average, about $19,000 per information worker per year. Or about 21% of an organization's total productivity. So to put some numbers on this, for an organization with 1,000 people, if we could effectively address these challenges and these time wasters, it would be like hiring over 200 new employees. Now, ILINX Content Store has the features and functionalities that can improve and really reduce this waste and this frustration dealing with digital content. And one of the ways that ILINX Content Store does this is by greatly reducing or even eliminating the need for training on the system. And just like you just turn on an iPhone for the first time, you don't really pull out the instruction manual. It's just intuitive, and you don't really need the instructions to understand how to navigate through the set of functionality. ILINX Content Store is very similar. It provides a very intuitive interface that improves user productivity immediately. And users are delighted with the ease of use of this interface, and so we've seen that user adoption is always very high, which is always going to contribute to the success of a project rollout. And with ILINX Content Store, really, the user manual is not necessary. So we talked on a previous slide about the IDC study and some of those results. And one of the fields, or one of the metrics that they calculated was researching and gathering information from digital content, and that knowledge workers spent about 7 hours on that task. At 20th Century, they had an extreme case of these document challenges when it came to dealing with thousands of paper movie scripts. So what they wanted to do was create a high-fidelity archive to support efficient research activities and information preservation. So they're scanning all of their movie scripts from the last almost 100 years into a high-resolution digital content. Now these documents are very large, and because of the resolution that they're bringing them into the system, they're fairly large, in some cases up to 300 meg per document. But ILINX Content Store makes it easy to perform very precise searching on this content, full text searching, and whether or not you're a 20th century heads-down user or just an occasional ad hoc user, the user interface is very intuitive, and it's very easy for you to go in and research and find information and reduce that 7 hours per week that's spent on those typical activities. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my demo system. And run through a couple of scenarios for you. First off, I'm going to log in as Dale. And Dale is a salesperson within my organization. And once Dale is logged in, one of the things you're going to notice is that the interface is very streamlined here. On the left-hand side, Dale has some navigational elements. You can see a link there that's checked out to me. This link shows Dale all of the documents that he currently has checked out across the entire system, so it's easy for him to remember where he's at, and so that documents don't actually get lost in the shuffle or checked out and then just left checked out. Under the document types, he's got a number of different document types that he has access to, including benefits, RFP, and RFP responses. Now, if Dale wanted to go just do a quick search, let's say he's interested in what the 2013 holiday schedule is, he can run that. And again, this is going to do a full text search across the entire system and pull back only the content that Dale has access to. In this case, this is the holiday schedule. And if Dale clicks on this, he's got a few options here. He can open it, he can pin it. Maybe he's interested in this because he looks for this often. He can download and email this, but he really doesn't have any capability to modify this content. I'll go ahead and click on this document, which is going to retrieve it from the repository and bring it up in the ILINX Content Store viewer. And from here, Dale can, of course, work with the document, page through the document. And he has access to the index information as well, but as you'll see, this has all been configured so that it's read-only and Dale can't actually make changes to it. Now, if Dale was interested in maybe just browsing all of the benefit information that's available to him, he could simply double-click on that document type or that application, and the system would return a list of documents that Dale has access to. Now, I've purposefully left in a couple of fields here. One is the department, the other is access, and those are user-defined fields for this document type or this application. And you can see that Dale is seeing documents that have either all or sales for the department, and of course Dale is in sales, and all of the access values here that Dale sees are all public. And I'll show you in just a minute when we go into the admin section that the administrator has defined this particular document type so that Dale can see some of the content, and specifically content that is marked for all departments or just the sales department, of which Dale is a member, and only documents that have the access set to public. Now, I'll show you when we go in the administrator, there are many more documents in this particular application for different departments and different access settings. Okay. So as I mentioned, Dale is in sales. And so one of the things that Dale is involved with is reviewing and responding to requests for proposals or RFPs. So Dale can double-click on the RFP responses, and this might be a very large list. If Dale has been and his sales team has been doing this a while, there may be a lot of content in here. And if Dale's interested in a particular customer, he can expand the advanced search panel, and he can provide some search parameters in there. Let's just do PTW and run a search, and he pulls back the RFP response for PTW Corporation. Now, one of the other things that Dale can do that's a real time saver, if he is looking at this RFP response and wants to see the original RFP, there's an option that Dale has here called Search Associated Applications. And what this is going to do is it's going to take information from the record that he clicked on and run a search against the RFP application and pull back relevant information. So in this case, it's pulled back the PTW Corp RFP. And so it's very easy for Dale to navigate to other associated content within the system without having to maybe even know where it resides or having to go in and figure out how the metadata relates to one another. So once Dale sees the RFP response and he sees the RFP, one of the other things that he might want to do is open these side by side. So he understands what the original questions were in the RFP and how his company responded to those. So that side-by-side comparison is a very nice feature of ILINX Content Store. So I'm going to collapse these down. And I mentioned he has access to the Checked Out to Me folder. So this is the area where if he just clicks on this, he sees all of the content in the system that he has currently checked out. And from here, he can check documents in. He can discard the changes or whatnot. Now let's go back and let's look at some of this benefit information. This isn't really a useful business example. I'm just going to pin some of these documents here because Dale is interested in those. And actually, that's not a good example because he doesn't have access to those. Let's grab these. And let's say Dale wants to send these to one of his new sales guys. He's not been provisioned to the network yet, but he wants to give him some access to some of these RFPs to give him an idea of what types of things that new sales guy is going to have to be responding to. So he's going to create a notebook that contains all of these RFPs or the ones that he's identified. I'm just going to stick this on my desktop here. And when Dale does this, he's got some options here. And he's creating a notebook. And as we talked about in the PowerPoint, this is a self-contained ILINX Content Store system that he can deliver via email or a thumb drive or shared network location to someone within his organization or even outside his organization like an auditor. In this case, he's going to share it with his new sales colleague. And he's going to, because this is a system that is offline, he's just going to say, yeah, this is Jim. Password is Jim. Confirm Jim. Now he has a couple of options here. He can mark this as a read-only repository, which means that when Jim gets it and logs in, he can see the content. He can do things within that repository to access that content and even share it out, but he can't make any changes or additions to the content. So I'm just for fun, I'll mark that read only. And then at some point, Jim should be provisioned into the system. So we don't want this stuff laying around to confuse him. So I'm just going to say after 7 days that we want to expire this notebook. So when I hit OK, a couple of things are going to go on. The ILINX Content Store system is going to prepare that notebook, which is a self-contained ILINX Content Store, and then it's going to gather this content that Dale has identified here in the RFP application and export that into that local copy of the notebook. So it's going to spend for a while as it creates that content. And I'm going to go out. It looks like it's done. And it should have created a notebook for me. And so this is the information that Dale would need to copy and deliver to his new sales colleague for accessing the content offline. So let's just pretend that I'm Jim and I've just received this via email, or he put that out on my Dropbox account or whatever. And I'm going to log in and see what my mentor Dale has delivered to me. So I'm logging in as Jim. Again, this isn't connected to the corporate system. This is just the notebook, and you can see here that when Dale created it, he marked it read-only. So Jim's going to log in, and he really doesn't see a lot here. He just sees the RFP document type and the information, excuse me, that Dale has wanted to send to Jim so that he can get a look at some of the RFP samples. Up in the right-hand corner, you'll see that this expires in 6 days, or 6 days, 23 hours. Now, when Dale created this notebook, he had not marked it read-only, which he did, there would be a synchronization button here, so that if Jim made some contributions, he checked in a new version of an RFP or added some new RFPs, he would be able to synchronize those changes back up to the corporate ILINX Content Store system when he gets his network provisioning completed and he's able to get onto the company network. Okay, so I'm going to log out of Dale, and I'm going to log in as an administrator. One of the things you'll notice right off the bat is that I've got a new tab here, this administrative tab, and I have a lot more document types that are available to me as an administrator. One of the things I forgot to mention, when we logged in the first time, as you go through ILINX Content Store, there are a number of places that the system provides quick tips or helpful hints. And these are configurable. The admin can go and just type new values in here to tailor those to your specific organization. But those are just helping these ad hoc users or these first-time users really understand quickly how they kind of navigate around the ILINX Content Store system. So as an admin, I have access to more functionality than Jim did. And whether I'm looking in benefits or invoices or these RFPs, because I'm an admin, I have the full set of capabilities for this content. But I also have access to the same types of things that Jim did, or Dale did rather. I can do associated searching. I can collaborate. I can do all those types of things that Dale was able to do. Okay, and if I go to the Capture tab, this is the part of the system that we talked about in the PowerPoint that allows you to contribute new information, and whether those are coming from scanners. I don't have a scanner hooked up to show you, or they're coming from a camera, or you're just going to pull some information off of the desktop. You can create a document, and when I expand this set of menus, what I see are the document types or applications that I have access to. Now in Dale's case, if I had tried to capture some information, the only applications that Dale had access to create new content in was the RFP or RFP response applications. And so when he opened that, that's the only applications that he would see. And so I can say I want to create a new RFP document, And I'm just going to grab something off the desktop here. Now, as I'm capturing this content, I've got a couple of elements here. I've got the content itself, and then I've got a set of metadata. But let's say I want to enrich this content here by providing some additional documents. And I can just drag from my Windows Explorer and contribute content right in here. And I can rearrange. I want this to be part of this document and get this looking exactly the way I want it to appear to my content consumers. So once I've got my content in there, then I can go in here and apply the metadata. And this is the indexing panel interface, and this is where the users that are contributing content would have access to some of those very powerful features that I mentioned earlier, like database lookups, type-ahead searching. We can do regular expression validation on these parameters to ensure they're in the correct format. And I can use pick lists and date selectors to ensure that I'm getting information in as quickly and as accurately as possible. So I could submit this document into the system and it'll go right into the repository. This interface is very similar to the search interface. It's got some quick hits, quick tips here, as well as it shows me the history of all the content that I've put into the system. So let's click on the admin tab here, and I'll just walk through a couple of aspects about the admin capabilities. Because I'm a system administrator, I have access to this admin tab. Of course, that can be provisioned out on an application-by-application basis. And this is the list of all of the applications that are defined in my system that I have access to modify. I see some interesting things like the count of documents that are in the application, the total storage that's in use for that application, and whether or not there's been associations defined for or between these applications. So let's edit this benefits one because I want to show you a couple of things. I can go in and modify at any time these fields. I can change their data types. Now this is limited to what the back-end database can support in terms of changing the type. So for instance, the database is not going to support changing an integer field into a date field. So it won't allow you to do that. But I can modify these applications. I can add new columns, remove columns, and change types. Users and groups, this is where I would manage what users are involved in this system, whether they're built-in users and groups. As I mentioned, this might be auditors or temporary contractors, or whether I'm pulling information in from my Active Directory and my corporate directory. This is where they would appear, and this is how I would see who all is involved in the system. So once I've defined that or brought those Active Directory groups and users into my system, then I click on the permissions area, and this is where I set the permissions for specific applications. So you remember when we logged in as Dale, he was in sales, and when he accessed the benefits application, he had very limited capability. And so as I'm looking here in the system, I see that, in fact, he could search for documents, print and email documents, and see some annotations, but that was really about it. He wasn't able to add comments, see comments. He wasn't able to access information offline or even capture new documents. So Dale was really, and everyone in the sales group was really locked down when looking at content in the benefits application. The other thing that I showed you, and let me just go back here and show you the benefits, what the benefits looks like as an administrative user. I see everything. So I see marketing information, I see engineering and accounting information, and I also see documents that have been marked as restricted and public. And I do that by defining rules right here in this permissions area. And so for the salespeople that are accessing the benefits application, you can see that there's some rules defined here. They can only access documents where the access field is public and where the department is set to sales or the department is set to all. And that's why when Dale looked, he was able to see public documents within benefits. He could see sales documents within benefits or things that were marked all. Now, in reality, as an administrator, I could have gone in and hidden those fields, so Dale wouldn't even have really known, which department or which access mode was set. But I wanted you to be able to see that this morning. And if I click on these groups, I can see that some of them have different permissions set up. Now this is a benefits application, so in this case, HR has basically almost all rights to the content within this system. But the administrator has chosen to not let them modify that repository definition, but he could open that up for them as well. Then we've got a general settings area. This is where you set default settings for searching, and you can apply customizations to those tips and quick hits that we mentioned earlier. All right, let's jump back to presentation real quick. All right, so just to kind of wrap things up, hopefully you'll agree that the ILINX Content Store product delivers some very compelling content management value and even some unique benefits that go beyond traditional content management systems. The system is very easy to use, which is going to promote high user adoption, delight the users, reduce training costs. The architecture provides for flexible deployment options. So whether you want to go to cloud or on-premise, or you want to change that at some point, it allows you to lower your cost of ownership and provides a very cost-effective method if you want to change that setup in the future. The architecture also allows you to set up and configure a base system very, very quickly and tailor it to meet your content management needs across your organization. We covered the unique notebook feature. This is a secure offline capability so that you can deliver content to an auditor or a contractor or somebody outside your system, or if you just want to take information offline to work on it there and then synchronize it back with your production system when you're connected to the network. So these things and these features and these values roll up into really some unmatched return on investment. So just to highlight a couple of other ILINX products, just so you kind of get an idea of how this product kind of relates to some of the other content management capabilities that we have within the suite. The ILINX Capture product is a production level, high volume capture product that can meet any type of capture volume demands or ad hoc capture demands. It includes a very powerful workflow that allows you to streamline business operations. We have ILINX eForms. This provides electronic forms capabilities to collect, validate, and deliver input data across a wide variety of devices. And by the way, we've got some upcoming webinars we'll talk about later that feature these products. With ILINX Integrate, you can deliver and consume content and data between any two applications with zero coding. ILINX Import automates the consumption of content from a large variety of sources and delivers that content to ILINX Capture or even a third-party capture solution. And with ILINX Release, you can accept content from multiple content systems like ILINX Capture and deliver that content out to ILINX Content Store or even other third-party content management systems. Now, ImageSource has been implementing enterprise content management solutions for 20 years across the world to hundreds of customers. And these solutions include not just ILINX products, but also Oracle and IBM FileNet, Kofax, and other technologies. And using our unique ECMECOSYSTEM methodology, we can help you craft the optimal content management strategy for your organization. And this methodology starts with some in-depth interviews with your lines of business and your IT groups. Next, we deliver a comprehensive analysis to identify line of businesses that are underserved by your existing enterprise content management capabilities. And then we work with you to craft that perfect content management strategy for your organization. And then fourth, we co-present these findings in a final presentation with you to your management. So whether you're on an old end-of-life product like Oracle IPM or just getting started with enterprise content management, this proven methodology can help you define some realistic strategies to drive significant process improvements throughout your organization. and improvements that deliver measurable cost savings and deliver competitive advantage for your business. So that's it for the presentation. Let's open it up to some questions.
Okay, Randy, so we do have a couple of questions that came in. I've got what would a migration look like from our existing ECM system to ILINX Content Store?
Okay, well, that's a great question. And of course, the ECM ecosystem would be a great place to start with that question. We could come in, understand better what you're doing, what you're using today, your pain points with your existing system, and then work through the process of understanding and documenting what exactly that migration process would look like. Now, we have done this for many, many customers across many different products, so we've got a lot of expertise in doing those types of migrations into Content Store. Additionally, over the 20 years that we've been doing these types of things, ImageSource has developed a number of kind of Swiss Army knife products, and these would be things we talked about just briefly a couple slides ago, ILINX Export, ILINX Import, and ILINX Release. And these products really help us to facilitate that movement of content from old legacy systems or maybe just file systems into ILINX Content Store. So we definitely would love to talk to you about what exactly the process of delivering a strategy would look like there.
The next one is, does ILINX Content Store support high availability?
Absolutely. ILINX Content Store is built in the latest version of .NET. It runs under IIS. And typically in those high availability systems, we would cluster IIS, so you've got two instances of your web application server running. And you can even do the same thing with your database. Now, sometimes we'll actually move the second instance of your database off geographically, so you get some disaster recovery there. But in terms of high availability, the clustered IIS will give you what we call active-active failover. Because our clients don't maintain a stateful connection with our services on the back end, one of your IIS machines can be taken offline for maintenance or whatever in a high availability system, and your users won't even know that that has happened. They'll just continue to work with the system completely uninterrupted.
And then one more, Randy. Does ILINX Content Store do OCR on images for full text searching?
Great question, and I forgot to cover that. The answer is yes. We can take in inbound raster images and perform OCR on those and extract the text, and then that text becomes full text searchable through the global searching that I demoed during the product demonstration portion.
If anybody out there has additional questions, you can always submit those to Randy. You can also contact us using any of our social media outlets such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or you can also reach us from the ImageSource website.